Jean Claude Van Damme, once celebrated as a titan in the world of action cinema and martial arts, has long stood as a living legend in the entertainment industry. His athletic prowess and on-screen charisma earned him a place among the greats. However, beneath the glamorous veneer that surrounded his public image, the realities of his personal life tell a different story, one marked by tragedy, tumultuous relationships, personal scandals, and the shadow of addiction. Though he remains a beloved figure in film, Van Damme's journey has been anything but smooth, punctuated by a series of challenges that have shaped both his career and his personal life. Van Damme's personal life has been as dramatic as his cinematic roles. His foray into marriage began in 1980 when he wed Maria Rodriguez. Despite the promising start, their relationship was short-lived, and they soon divorced. This breakup paved the way for his next romance with Cynthia Derderian. Like the characters Van Damme often portrayed on screen, men who faced off against formidable foes, their relationship was fraught with tension, ultimately leading to another divorce. However, Van Damme, undeterred by the setbacks, sought love once again with Derderian in a brief reconciliation, though this too ended in separation. Van Damme's romantic odyssey took another turn when he met professional bodybuilder Gladys Portugues. Their relationship blossomed, resulting in marriage and the birth of 2 children. Yet, like many of his previous relationships, their union faced numerous challenges, and they separated in 1992. After this split, Van Damme entered into a whirlwind romance with Darcy Lapierre, whom he married shortly after their relationship began. However, their marriage quickly encountered turbulence, exacerbated by Van Damme's highly publicized affair with pop sensation Kylie Minogue, his co-star in the 1994 film Street Fighter. This affair led to the collapse of his relationship with Lapierre. In an unexpected twist, Van Damme found his way back to Gladys Portugues, the woman with whom he shared his most enduring connection. Their reunion brought newfound stability to Van Damme's turbulent romantic life. Despite the obstacles, including a divorce filing by Portugues in 2015, the couple demonstrated a resilience reminiscent of the action heroes Van Damme portrayed on screen. Overcoming these challenges, they reconciled, and their marriage, which began anew in 1999, continues to this day, standing as a testament to their enduring love and commitment to one another. Jean Claude Van Damme's personal tribulations extended beyond his romantic life, casting a long shadow over his family. In September 2017, his son, Nicholas Van Varenberg, made headlines following an incident that shook both the Van Damme family and the public. The younger Van Varenberg was arrested in Arizona after allegedly holding his roommate hostage with a knife in a dramatic standoff. This shocking event began with a seemingly minor incident. Surveillance footage captured someone, later identified as Van Varenberg, punching an elevator wall at an apartment complex near Arizona State University. What initially appeared to be a routine disturbance escalated into a tense situation when law enforcement officers followed a trail of blood from the elevator to Van Varenberg's 10th-floor apartment. Upon arrival, the police found themselves in a standoff that lasted for 2 hours, during which Van Varenberg reportedly held his roommate at knife point. The severity of the situation raised concerns about Van Varenberg's mental state and his propensity for violence, which stood in stark contrast to the controlled aggression associated with his father's on-screen persona. Following his arrest, Van Varenberg faced a slew of legal consequences, including criminal charges related to the incident. Although he posted a $10,000 bail, the legal battle that followed threatened to tarnish not only his reputation, but also the legacy of his famous family. Ultimately, Van Varenberg pled guilty to a lesser charge of disorderly conduct, resulting in an 18-month probation sentence. While the resolution of the case brought some closure, The incident served as a poignant reminder of the personal struggles that can accompany fame. Van Damme's family difficulties were not limited to his son. His daughter, Bianca Van Damme, has also faced her own set of challenges. Despite being the daughter of a martial arts icon, Bianca initially resisted following in her father's footsteps. As a young girl, she was more interested in ballet and speed skating than in martial arts. However, her mother, Gladys Portuguese, recognizing the value of discipline, insisted that Bianca take up martial arts at the tender age of 7. Though reluctant at first, Bianca eventually embraced the sport after an injury sidelined her from her preferred activities. Over time, Bianca became a formidable martial artist in her own right, displaying both physical and mental strength. Her dedication to the craft, coupled with her passion for challenging stereotypes and empowering others, has helped her forge a path in a field traditionally dominated by men. Bianca's philosophy on femininity and strength is reflective of her multifaceted nature. She has stated, "I want to show young girls and boys that you can be both physical and feminine." Through her efforts, she seeks to demonstrate that grace and power are not mutually exclusive. Bianca has taken these beliefs into the film industry, working alongside her father in several projects. She made her acting debut alongside Van Damme in the 2008 film The Shepherd, Border Patrol, and has since appeared in a series of films, continuing to hone her craft. Despite the immense shadow cast by her father's illustrious career, Bianca has worked diligently to carve out her own identity in the entertainment world. She initially performed under the surname Van Varenberg, a deliberate choice aimed at distancing herself from her father's legacy. However, as her confidence in her abilities grew, she eventually embraced the Van Damme name, symbolizing her acceptance of her heritage while simultaneously forging her own path. Jean Claude Van Damme's personal battles were not limited to family strife and romantic challenges. At the height of his fame, he struggled with a debilitating addiction to cocaine, a habit that cast a dark shadow over his once glamorous existence. Van Damme has admitted to consuming up to 10 grams of cocaine per day during his darkest moments, a habit that cost him upwards of $10,000 per week. This addiction took a severe toll on both his health and his career, with Van Damme's filmography from the late 1990s to the mid-2000s reflecting the consequences of his substance abuse. During this period, he appeared in a series of poorly received films, many of which went straight to DVD, marking a stark departure from the box office successes of his earlier career. Despite multiple attempts at rehabilitation, Van Damme struggled to break free from the grip of addiction. In 1999, he faced a DUI charge, a stark reminder of the destructive path he was on. His battle with addiction was compounded by his undiagnosed bipolar disorder, a condition that often goes hand in hand with substance abuse. For years, Van Damme self-medicated with cocaine, seeking temporary relief from the intense mood swings and emotional turmoil characteristic of bipolar disorder. It wasn't until later in life that he was properly diagnosed and began receiving the treatment he needed. Van Damme's journey to recovery was marked by moments of profound darkness, including periods of suicidal ideation. However, his determination and resilience ultimately prevailed. With the support of his family, particularly his third wife, Gladys Portuguese, Van Damme began to rebuild his life. His decision to confront his cocaine addiction head-on, quitting cold turkey, marked a turning point in his recovery. As he regained his clarity and sobriety, Van Damme also made a conscious effort to manage his bipolar disorder in a healthier, more positive way. In addition to his personal struggles, Van Damme has faced his share of legal battles. One of the most high-profile cases involved Frank Dux, the kickboxer whose life story inspired the film Bloodsport. In 1997, Dux filed a lawsuit against Van Damme, claiming that the action star had failed to compensate him for his contributions to the script of the 1996 film The Quest, in which Van Damme both starred and directed. Initially seeking $50,000, Dux later raised his demand to $1.5 million. During the proceedings, Dux sought to undermine Van Damme's credibility as a martial artist, alleging that the actor had demonstrated a lack of competence during their training sessions for Bloodsport. Dux went so far as to claim that Van Damme had misrepresented his martial arts accomplishments to the public. Despite these damning allegations, the lawsuit ultimately ended in Van Damme's favor. In 1998, a jury ruled that the actor was not financially obligated to compensate Dux. The legal victory allowed Van Damme to move forward, but it also underscored the challenges he faced in maintaining his reputation in a highly competitive and often cutthroat industry. Van Damme's career has been marked by extreme highs and devastating lows. From his early success as a martial arts film star to his struggles with addiction and legal battles, he has experienced the full spectrum of what fame can offer. Van Damme's rise to stardom began with his breakthrough role in Bloodsport, 1988, a film that quickly became a cult classic and showcased his martial arts skills. His performances in other films like Kickboxer, 1989, Lionheart, 1990, and Universal Soldier, 1992, solidified his status as an action star in Hollywood. Known for his unique ability to perform impressive martial arts moves, such as his trademark 360-degree spin kick and the famous splits, Van Damme captivated audiences worldwide with his agility and physical prowess. However, as his career progressed, the pressures of fame and personal struggles began to take their toll, leading to a series of professional missteps. Jean Claude Van Damme's entry into Hollywood was not an easy one. Born in Brussels, Belgium, as Jean Claude Camille François van Varenberg, he grew up as a shy child with dreams of becoming a martial artist and film star. His journey toward stardom began when he won the title of Mr. Belgium in bodybuilding at the age of 18. His passion for martial arts, combined with his physique, gave him the tools to enter the entertainment industry. Van Damme moved to Los Angeles in 1982 with little money and big dreams. He spent his early years in Hollywood taking on minor roles and working various jobs to make ends meet, including delivering pizzas and working as a bouncer. His relentless determination eventually led him to land a small role in *bɛʁɡ, 1984, where he appeared as an uncredited background dancer. However, his big break came when he was cast as the lead in Bloodsport, a film based on the real-life experiences of martial artist Frank Dux. Van Damme's portrayal of Frank Dux, a fighter who competes in a secretive underground martial arts tournament, captured the imagination of audiences. The film, despite its modest budget and mixed critical reception, became a financial success and developed a cult following over the years. Van Damme's high-energy fight sequences, combined with his intense physicality, were unlike anything mainstream Hollywood had seen at the time. Following the success of Bloodsport, Van Damme quickly established himself as one of the premier action stars of the late 1980s and early 1990s. He starred in Kickboxer, where he played a man who learns the ancient art of Muay Thai to avenge his brother's defeat. This film further solidified Van Damme's reputation for his martial arts skills and charismatic screen presence. His ability to combine fluid combat sequences with dramatic storytelling set him apart from other action stars of the era. The early 1990s were a golden period for Van Damme, as he took on leading roles in several successful films. In Universal Soldier, 1992, he starred alongside Dolph Lundgren in a futuristic thriller about genetically modified soldiers. The film was a commercial hit, grossing over $100 million worldwide, and cemented Van Damme's status as a bankable action hero. He continued to ride this wave of success with films like Hard Target, 1993, directed by John Woo, and Time Cop, 1994, which became his highest-grossing film at the time, earning over $100 million globally. During this period, Van Damme became known not only for his martial arts abilities, but also for his willingness to perform his own stunts. His on-screen persona combined toughness with vulnerability, allowing him to portray characters who were not just fighting machines, but individuals with emotional depth. This blend of physicality and emotion made him appealing to a broad audience and distinguished him from other action stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. As the 1990s progressed, however, Van Damme's personal demons began to affect his professional life. His addiction to cocaine, which he later openly admitted, started during the height of his career. The constant demands of fame, coupled with the pressure to maintain his action star image, drove Van Damme to self-medicate. At the peak of his addiction, he claimed to have been using up to 10 grams of cocaine per day, a habit that cost him tens of thousands of dollars each week. His substance abuse led to erratic behavior on set, missed film deadlines, and ultimately, a decline in the quality of his work. Between 1995 and 1999, Van Damme's film career began to falter. While he continued to appear in action films, many of these projects were poorly received by both critics and audiences. Films like Street Fighter, 1994, based on the popular video game, and The Quest, 1996, which Van Damme directed and starred in, failed to live up to expectations. The latter marked his directorial debut, but despite the film's high production values, it was criticized for its lackluster script and weak performances. Van Damme's reputation in Hollywood began to suffer, and he became increasingly associated with low-budget, straight-to-video releases. His substance abuse issues culminated in a DUI arrest in 1999, drawing public attention to his deteriorating personal life. Around this time, Van Damme also received a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, a condition that he had unknowingly struggled with for years. In interviews, Van Damme later revealed that his drug use was, in part, an attempt to cope with the extreme mood swings associated with his disorder. After several failed attempts at rehabilitation, including a 7-day stint in a rehab center, he decided to confront his addiction head-on and quit cocaine cold turkey. Despite the challenges, Van Damme's determination to turn his life around began to take root. He reconciled with his wife, Gladys Portuguese, and started to focus on his mental health, embracing therapy and medication to manage his bipolar disorder. His physical training, which had always been a cornerstone of his life, became a vital part of his recovery. Van Damme's commitment to maintaining a rigorous workout regimen helped him regain a sense of control and discipline, allowing him to rebuild both his body and mind. In the mid-2000s, Van Damme made a conscious effort to rehabilitate his career. After years of working on lesser-known projects, he surprised fans and critics alike with a bold return in the 2008 film JCVD. This semi-autobiographical film saw Van Damme playing a fictionalized version of himself, a washed-up action star struggling with personal and professional failures. In JCVD, Van Damme delivered a raw, emotional performance that showcased his acting chops in a way that few had seen before. The film received widespread acclaim, with many praising Van Damme for his vulnerability and willingness to poke fun at his own image. JCVD marked a turning point for Van Damme, as it not only revived his career, but also allowed him to redefine his persona in the public eye. He was no longer just the martial arts star known for flashy kicks and high-octane action sequences. He had matured into a more complex and introspective actor capable of delivering nuanced performances. Critics hailed JCVD as one of Van Damme's best films, and his monologue toward the end of the movie, where he speaks directly to the camera about his regrets and struggles, became an iconic moment in modern cinema. The success of JCVD opened the door for Van Damme to take on more diverse roles. In 2012, he joined the cast of The Expendables 2, playing the film's main antagonist, Jean Villain. His performance was well received, and it reintroduced him to mainstream audiences. Appearing alongside action legends like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis, Van Damme fit seamlessly into the ensemble, reminding the world why he had become an action star in the first place. Van Damme's career resurgence continued as he embraced both acting and directing roles. He returned to the kickboxer franchise in 2016, playing a mentor figure in Kickboxer, Vengeance. This was followed by Kickboxer, Retaliation, 2018, where he reprised his role as Master Durand. These films, while not blockbusters, were a nod to Van Damme's roots and allowed him to revisit the genre that had made him a household name. In a surprising twist, Van Damme took his career in yet another direction with the Amazon Prime series Jean Claude Van Damme. The 2016 pilot episode introduced a comedic and self-reflective take on Van Damme's persona, portraying him as a retired action star who moonlights as an undercover operative. The series embraced the absurdity of Van Damme's larger-than-life image, with the actor playing a fictionalized version of himself, who navigates both espionage and the everyday trials of aging and fame. Jean Claude Van Damme took viewers by surprise, blending action, comedy, and satire in a way that hadn't been done before in Van Damme's career. The series offered an exaggerated, almost parodic look at the life of an action star, with Van Damme playing himself as a former martial arts hero secretly working as a covert operative. The show poked fun at many of the tropes that had defined his previous roles, but it also allowed Van Damme to explore the vulnerability of aging in a business that often idolizes youth and strength. What made Jean Claude Van Damme unique was its self-awareness. The series embraced the fact that Van Damme's reputation had evolved beyond that of a typical action star. Viewers got to see a humorous side of Van Damme that had often been overshadowed by his intense, stoic characters. He was no longer just the stoic martial artist performing gravity-defying kicks. In this show, he was a man grappling with the realities of getting older and the legacy he would leave behind. Despite the positive reception of Jean Claude Van Damme and the excitement surrounding Van Damme's return to television, the series was short-lived. After only one season, Amazon Prime decided not to renew the show, much to the disappointment of his fans. The cancellation was a blow to Van Damme, who had been looking forward to continuing in a project that allowed him to redefine himself in the eyes of the public. However, even in its brief run, Jean Claude Van Damme left a lasting impression, proving that Van Damme's versatility extended far beyond the roles that made him famous. Van Damme's career, much like his personal life, has been a series of peaks and valleys, triumphs and setbacks. While many of his contemporaries enjoyed more consistent mainstream success, Van Damme's career trajectory was defined by his ability to stage comeback after comeback. His return in JCVD and later in The Expendables 2 was proof that the public hadn't forgotten about him. Despite the personal and professional turmoil that plagued him in the late 1990s and early 2000s, he managed to remain relevant in a rapidly changing industry. One of Van Damme's most admirable traits is his refusal to give up. Even when facing his darkest moments, battling addiction, enduring failed marriages, and suffering career setbacks, he always found a way to reinvent himself. This resilience is one of the defining characteristics of his persona, both on-screen and off. In many ways, his real-life struggles mirror the trials faced by the characters he plays. Van Damme's characters are often men who have to fight against overwhelming odds, Whether they are battling ruthless villains in underground fighting rings or taking on futuristic cyborgs in post-apocalyptic worlds. Off the screen, Van Damme has faced his own share of battles against addiction, mental illness, and personal demons, but like the heroes he portrays, he has fought back with determination and courage. Another part of Van Damme's enduring appeal is his relatability. Unlike some of his more polished and larger-than-life contemporaries, Van Damme's vulnerabilities have always been visible to his audience. He was never the indestructible, invincible hero like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator or Sylvester Stallone's Rambo. Van Damme's characters could be hurt. They bled, they struggled, and they often had to dig deep within themselves to find the strength to overcome their enemies. This humanity is what endeared him to millions of fans around the world. People saw themselves in Van Damme's characters. They saw someone who wasn't afraid to show his weaknesses, and who, despite everything, always managed to get back up and keep fighting. Van Damme's ability to bounce back has extended beyond the screen. After years of struggling with addiction and mental health issues, Van Damme has managed to turn his life around. In interviews, he speaks openly about his struggles with bipolar disorder and how it affected his career. He has become an advocate for mental health awareness, using his platform to encourage others to seek help when they need it. This openness has helped him connect with a new generation of fans, many of whom admire not just his physical abilities, but also his honesty and vulnerability. Throughout all the ups and downs, one thing that has remained constant in Van Damme's life is his dedication to martial arts and fitness. From an early age, Van Damme trained in Shotokan karate, which laid the foundation for his later success as a martial artist and action star. Over the years, he expanded his knowledge of various fighting styles, including kickboxing, Muay Thai, and Taekwondo, incorporating elements of each into his signature fighting style. Van Damme's commitment to martial arts goes beyond just the physical techniques. He has always approached his training with a deep sense of discipline and focus. His daily workout routines, which often include a combination of weight training, cardio, and martial arts drills, have kept him in remarkable shape well into his 60s. Fans often marvel at how Van Damme has managed to maintain such a high level of fitness over the decades, especially given the physical toll that action films can take on the body. Even as he ages, Van Damme continues to practice and promote martial arts as a way of life. He has spoken about the importance of physical discipline not only for the body, but also for the mind. For Van Damme, martial arts is not just about fighting, it's about self-improvement, both physically and mentally. He believes that the lessons learned through martial arts can be applied to all aspects of life, from personal relationships to overcoming adversity. This philosophy has resonated with many of his fans, particularly those who grew up watching him perform jaw-dropping kicks and acrobatics on the big screen.